A deadly battle has taken place off the coast of Gaza as Israeli forces stormed at least one ship attempting to break the blockade of Gaza. Commanders lowered themselves from the helicopters and onto the Mavi Marmara. That's the lead ship in a flotilla of 6 vessels which are carrying aid for the Palestinian territory. We can confirm that at least 2 people have been killed and more than 30 have been injured. Israeli radio is reporting the death toll may be as high as 16 people. Well, our reporter on board the ship sent this report before communications were cut.
The organizers on board the Mavi Marmara, after 2 people have been confirmed killed by the Israeli army, have now asked all the passengers to go inside. They've raised the white flag. This after Israeli commandos descended upon the ship in international water from a helicopter, as well as surrounded it by vessels from all sides. Tens of people, civilians, have been injured. There are still sounds of live fire despite the white flag being raised. Tens of people have been injured. 2 people have been killed on board the ship, which holds 600 activists, parliamentarians, women, children and the elderly, all of whom are civilians. Organizers have asked everyone to go inside. So this is where we shall head.
Israeli soldiers, as you can see, coming down from the helicopter, they're storming that flotilla, which is reportedly bringing aid and food to the Gaza Strip. There seems to be a great deal of chaos and certainly confrontation. Well, let's bring in our Ben Wiedemann, who is following this developing story from Egypt. Ben, we've just seen those dramatic pictures. What have you heard?
Well, basically, what we know is what we've seen on Turkish TV and also Al Jazeera, which are pictures of the events so far this morning. Now, we know that about 2.5 hours ago, all communications was lost with these ships, and I've been trying to call them for several hours now without any luck. Now, it does appear that the Israeli attack, or boarding, if you want to call it that, on the flotilla did take place in international waters. The ships were not expected to approach or get anywhere near Gaza until sometime after midday. This is not a complete surprise, however. The Israelis made it clear from quite some time that they were going to do what they could to stop this flotilla from reaching Gaza. They've been training commandos for this operation. One would think this was an armed invasion, but really it's just about 800 activists and 10,000 tons of relief supplies, construction supplies that are on their way to Gaza. Israel has also set up a detention center in the coastal town of Ashdod for the people on this convoy. So it appears that the convoy has been stopped dramatically, but as I said, the IDF is not making any comment at this point, and it is near to impossible to get through to the ships themselves.
Yeah, Ben, I mean, this was meant to be a humanitarian mission, delivering food and aid. I mean, why do you think it had to come to this? I mean, we're looking at pictures of where these commandos are coming into to confrontation with those on board. They seem to be using batons, and there seems to be violence going on board.
Israel, interestingly enough, the first convoy made it to Gaza in the summer of 2008, and Israel basically turned its back and allowed 5 convoys to reach Gaza. But beginning with the conflict, the Israeli invasion attack on Gaza at the end of 2008, beginning of 2009, they've blocked every attempt by the Free Gaza movement to reach Gaza, whether by land or by sea. In the case of land, blocked by, in fact, the Egyptians. For Israel, it's something of a dilemma. The Israelis claim that they pulled out of Gaza, that they no longer occupy it. However, they control the airspace over Gaza, the land borders, and the sea as well. So it's a little hard to explain why this is necessary and to use this sort of violent measure against this convoy.
For sure. Ben Wiedemann in Cairo, thank you. We'll certainly be keeping across this story that is developing. We appreciate your thoughts and analysis. Well, Israel tightened its blockade on Gaza in 2007 when Hamas took power. Israel already controls about 2/3 of the Gaza border. Egypt controls the rest. And there are just 6 tightly controlled border crossings, with Rafah being the busiest by far. Well, what's allowed in under the blockade? Well, not much. Just food, medicine and some basic supplies like soap. The list of what's not allowed is much longer. Everything from cars to computers. Construction materials like concrete and wood are almost always refused, and imports of fuel for cars haven't been allowed in since 2008. Well, little is allowed out of Gaza as well. Only a few truckloads of strawberries and flowers. The result? About 80% of the people in Gaza rely on humanitarian aid, and almost half are unemployed.